Hello, and welcome to our first currently unnamed podcast. I'm Mikey, and this is
Dan.
Dan. Um, we decided to do a podcast just the other day. We thought it'd be a good idea um, because we have a lot of knowledge to spread out to the world,
Or
and
so we think.
or so we think.
Yeah.
Uh, we might just be overhyping our own abilities. Well, there you go. Uh, So, Dan, do you want to tell them the overarching theme that we're hoping to achieve with this podcast?
Yeah, the idea for the podcast, Mikey, originally you wanted the podcast to do more MMA, sort of like, well, you've always wanted a podcast to do uh, pre-fight analysis and predictions and stuff like that, do post-fight analysis. And I've always wanted to do a podcast about health, nutrition, and just general fitness and lifestyle stuff. And because we both have a background in martial arts and fitness, we thought it'd be a good idea to kind of combine them both into one thing and help inform people on the things that we're interested in.
Yeah. Um, so to be clear, although I know about health and fitness, I know some stuff about diet. I know a fair amount about training and good training practices and all that kind of stuff. Dan has a far higher knowledge base, and by far higher, I mean like if it's a set of stairs, I'm on the bottom step and he's like up near the top of the steps.
I don't want to be overhyped. Just unfortunately, health, nutrition, and diet and all
I
that.
I mean
It's all
I mean
subjective.
compared to my level,
Yeah.
I look up. You might be halfway up, but I see you as near the top.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
kind of like, wow, look how far.
Yeah. I know enough to know that I don't know anywhere near enough.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the thing. I I know some health and nutrition. I know some exercise. If someone was to break their arm or their foot, I could pretty much diagnose it on the spot. But what I'm saying is, he just knows a lot more. He knows more than I do. Um, and on the flip side, I know a lot about competitive sports, about kickboxing, uh, jiu-jitsu competitions, um,
MMA,
mixed martial arts,
BJJ.
boxing. Yeah. Whereas,
Whereas I have no idea about any of that stuff. I'm more of I'd rather play than watch.
yeah,
Um, so it'll be nice. It'll be interesting for me to see the process that Mikey goes through when he watches these kind of things and get involved in more of that stuff as well. Plus, I'm actually interested in the fighters themselves. I don't know why I'm not really interested in watching it, but I'm hoping through this process of podcasting, I can learn a little bit more
yeah,
and maybe get more of an interest in. And the more that I watch and learn with Mikey, the more I can apply to my own training, which is another thing that we'd like to talk about in the podcast: our own personal training goals, our own personal nutrition goals, or setting up routines and things like that to help improve our own training and wellness.
yeah.
Um,
So, one of the things, it's actually an interesting thing you said there. You said you're almost interested more in the fighters themselves than in the actual fight.
yeah,
That's quite interesting because that actually sounds more like a mentality thing. Like you're almost more interested in what kind of mentality these guys have to fight constantly.
oh
That's
yeah,
what it
no,
sounds like to me than
that's
them
pretty much it.
actually doing the act of the fight.
The fight is interesting itself, but there's a mindset that goes with it that I'd like to know because I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, you might think you don't have it, but it's a weird thing. I think, like, obviously, I don't compete in boxing or in a cage or anything. I have done competitions. You've done a competition as well.
yeah, that
Uh,
didn't go well.
and well, my first one didn't go well either.
Yeah,
Um, although I will maintain that I should have been able to beat those guys, and I just honestly I was overconfident. I was
yeah.
overconfident. I think I was rightly overconfident, but I paid for being overconfident.
Hmm.
Because I seen those guys and I was kind of like, no problem, I got this.
Yeah. My mind was a bit more complicated because I'm deceptively heavy. So I was in a category based on weight with people that were bigger than me.
Yeah,
And this was the very first time our organization had done competition. So the rules were complicated. And the guy that I was going against kept breaking them, but the referees again still weren't really sure uh, how to conduct themselves in it, and I couldn't keep up with him breaking the rules and having to reset, and then me trying to follow the rules, and then him again breaking the rules, and it's just frustrating.
yeah.
Like
Well,
he beat me the way that he beat me. It was he deserved the win after that, but I mean, like throughout the whole thing, it was just frustrating, and I didn't know what was happening, so
yeah.
it just kind of ruined
Well,
my.
I was there and I was watching it and I remember basically shouting, saying, "Come on, look what he's doing. That's against the rules." But uh, no, I mean, like, if no one's gonna stop him, if you're in a fight and no one's gonna stop you from breaking the rules, why wouldn't you break the rules?
Yeah.
If you're in a boxing match and you keep putting someone in a headlock and hitting them with uppercuts and no one's stopping you, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If someone turns around, you punch them in the back of the head, which is illegal in boxing, but you don't get told you can't do it. Why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
You know, um,
Well, they did
it's
notice, and they kept stopping the fight. I can't remember how many times it stopped. Just okay, stop doing this, stop
it,
doing that. The referee kept having to intervene,
it
and then
was
the other
reset
said he
3 or 4
couldn't
times, I
see.
think. Yeah,
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 it was just frustrating for me, and then I lost my focus. And
yeah. Well, my first one was similar. I was overconfident because I came in going, none of these guys can beat me. I'm better than them all, and I maintain that I can beat them, and I should have beat them. Not to take anything away from those guys, by the way,
Mhm.
because like, good good people.
Yeah, and I don't
I've
want to take
no
away from
I've
the
no
guy that beat
problem
me.
with
He
them.
he deserved the
Yeah.
win. Well, he beat the technique that he beat me with. He deserved the
Yeah.
win for that because it was a
I've
good.
again I've no problem with these guys. There's no personal vendetta or anything. I just believe that I had the technical skill set to beat them. But
Yeah.
again, the way you said you're deceptively heavy and the guys were all heavier than you, I
Oh,
had
they're
to fight.
bigger than me, larger
Yeah,
than me.
sorry,
Yeah.
bigger than you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to fight up a weight class because I was the only one that weighed in at mine. So the guys I was fighting were all 10 kilos heavier than me, which is 2.5 stone. I
10.
think 10 kilos.
So, I don't know.
Or sorry,
Something like that. No.
was it 10 kilos heavier? I think it was around that. Yeah, I remember working out at the time, and it was around 2 to 2.5 stone, the
Okay.
weight difference. So that's significant.
Mhm.
You Um. Yeah. So
Yeah, I was the lightest in my category, but I was still in the big boy category because I think I was around 90-ish kilos at the time,
yeah,
which is quite heavy.
yeah.
Uh, but I don't look like I'm that weight.
No, you carry weight well.
Yeah, but this guy was, I think, towards the top end of the weight category as well, and he was taller than me. So I'm 6 foot. He was taller than me,
Yeah.
and he had every
I
advantage.
I think I'm the opposite. So you, well, no, I think I'm similar actually. So you carry your weight well because you don't look as heavy as you are,
Hmm.
and I think I'm similar because I'm smaller than you. You're 6 foot. I'm 5'7". So I'm, like, if I was in America, I would be a midget almost. People are
No, I
bigger in
think
America.
it
Um,
depends.
Over here, I'm a fairly average height.
Yeah,
Um, but I'm also only 60, about right now, about 62 to 63 kilos,
I'm
which is my general weight.
88.4. I weighed myself today. I'm 88.4.
Yeah, well, my general weight is between 61 and 64 kilos. It fluctuates a little bit, but generally
Mhm.
I sit about 62 to 63. Um, and at 5'7", and with how broad I am, I'm not massive or anything. I still look small, but I don't think I look that light.
No, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. I've grappled with you for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm used to your weight.
Well, it's mine isn't 9 stone 8, something like that.
Hmm.
And whenever we started jujitsu, I was only 8 stone something, eight and a
Yeah,
half
no,
maybe.
you've gained some size.
Yeah, I think it was 8 to 8.5 stone whenever we started.
Hmm.
Um,
I know you used to really struggle, and I think to some extent at the moment you still do struggle with building size.
yeah. Well, I think I'm at a good size now. I'm not massively interested in building size.
Hmm.
More maintaining because
Yeah,
I do want to compete still, and to
at the
compete.
lighter weights.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
me competing, like if I was to bulk up and put on more weight, I would have to do so much cardio just to get through the 5 minutes.
Well,
Um,
yeah, it depends.
I mean, like unless I got to the point where I was that strong, I could just slam someone, you know,
Hmm.
or someone goes to like put me in an armbar, I'm just like, no, bro, no way, bro.
Oh, if you were
Go,
putting on actual
go.
muscle, though, I don't think it would be too much of a detriment to your endurance.
Yeah, well, I need to work heavily on cardio anyway.
Yeah, so do I.
Um,
Which will be one of our goals that we can track throughout
yeah,
the course of this podcast.
yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Hmm.
Uh, so I'd said before we started this, I'd said that I wanted to do a basically an intro to who I am and who Daniel is, which I think we've kind of covered. But I also wanted to tell a story about how we met. Uh,
Okay.
I don't know if you want to tell it or you want me to tell it, or
I think you're the better storyteller.
you think I'm a better
Uh,
story. Okay, so
yeah, you can walk. Well, I would just give the facts, and it's like we met this way for this reason, and that's why. The end.
well, you can do an abridged version after if you want.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, what happened was I'll tell my side of it because that's the side I know. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I I just got out of I'd just been dumped. And I was a bit down in the dumps and a bit kind of moping around and all the rest of it. Uh, and my friend Ryan said to me, "Oh, I really want to do something." He was training at the gym at the time, and he said, "I'm kind of getting bored of the gym. I want to do something to mix up my training a bit, but I really want to get in shape, build muscle, and lose weight." Because he's a big guy. He's always been a big guy. And he said to me, "Do you know what? I've always wanted to do martial arts. Come on, let's go find a martial arts class." We worked together at the time and we did the same shifts, so it was easy for us to find something. Now, the days we could do martial arts or any other activity were a Tuesday and a Thursday. They were the only evenings we would reliably have off, which worked well because we found jiu-jitsu, which was on a Tuesday and a Thursday evening. So I kind of went down, all depressed, like, oh, I got dumped. And we went in. He didn't want to go in the first place. He was saying, "Oh, I did jiu-jitsu as a kid and it was crap, or I didn't enjoy it at all." And I kept saying to him, "I did it as a kid for a few months, and I loved it. I thought it was brilliant." We went down, went into the first class, got a good sweat on, good hard class, and came out of it. And as soon as we sat in the car, I went, "That was amazing. I can't wait to go again." So we were going for a little while, and uh, I started eventually. Daniel was there and he was training. He started. I think you started about a year before me.
Yeah, around that. I
Yeah.
think so.
So he started about a year before me.
I started in 2010.
Yeah, I started March 24th, 2011. So
Okay, I was January 2010.
yeah, so just over a year
Yeah.
before me.
Yeah.
Um, so we've been going down a few months or so, and as you do, you're there, you start talking to people, you start making friends, and it just happened to be that uh Daniel and myself and a few of the other guys kind of clicked. Just as soon as we started talking to each other, we kind of clicked and was like, "Oh yeah, that guy's cool." That guy's cool. Yeah. What I didn't know was that he's laughing. What
Yeah,
I
you thought
didn't
I was
know
cool.
was that Dan actually already knew who I was before I started. I'd never met him. I'd never seen him. I didn't know who Dan was.
I
Um,
knew of you. I wouldn't say I knew you. I knew of you.
yeah. So
Yeah.
whenever I walked in and he seen me the first time, he was like, "That's that guy. That guy's a dick." Um,
No, not that bad. I was like, you were dating someone that I thought was a dick,
yeah,
so I wondered if you were.
yeah. But basically,
Yeah.
he had kind of pre-labeled me as he must be an idiot and a prick. Um,
I'm not that judgmental.
um,
You're making me look real bad. Like I said, I was more
but
curious because I
either,
didn't like the person you were dating.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
didn't know any of this, and either way, I didn't know any of this until much later down the line. But we started hanging out, getting to know each other, friends and stuff. Uh, and less than a year after I started, so it was probably only I didn't know you that well. Like we'd only ever seen each other in training and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know you that well, and we were just getting changed before class one day. There was a pile of us in the changing room, and he was saying, "Oh, I'm getting kicked out of my house by the looks of it, um, and I really need someone to live with." And I was there. I wasn't saying anything. He was talking to someone else, and I kind of turned around and was like, "Oh, I've been looking for someone to live with for a while now, for about a year." And they're like, "Oh, cool. You want to move in together?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I want to move out of my parents' house." Um,
Yeah.
so
That's
yeah,
perfect timing.
yeah, it was
Um,
just good time within
yeah.
what, a month, 2 months.
Yeah, because I was being kicked out uh, almost immediately.
Yeah,
So I had to find another place to live. So I managed to get that sourced and sorted out very quickly. It wasn't a nice place that we got, but
yeah,
that's how you were my first ever roommate.
yeah. So within like 2 months, we were living in the same house, which um, I wasn't particularly worried about it, but I heard that you were slightly worried about it because you didn't know how we didn't really know each other, and I heard you were a
Yeah,
bit
I wasn't sure if I could
apprehensive.
defend.
Yeah,
Yeah, not because you're a dick, but
but
because
I could have.
I just yeah,
Either one of
it's
us
just
could
if
have
you
turned
flaked
out to
out,
be
it would have made
horrible.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, I
um,
didn't think you'd personally be awful to live with. I just would be worried that you'd flake out of it because I think it was my name that was on the tenancy agreement.
yeah,
Yeah, and I needed to make sure that I could rely on everybody.
yeah. So, but we ended up living together for what, 5 years, 6 years?
Yeah, five, five. I moved out 2015. Yeah, so 5 years. No, no,
No, 16.
2016.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
must have been
6 years,
16. Yeah,
nearly, almost six. Yeah, we lived together.
it
It
would
would
have
have
been
been
5 years.
5 years. Yeah, my brain. I'm bad at remembering dates.
So that's how we know each other. It's basically through jujitsu. That's Japanese jujitsu and not Brazilian jujitsu.
Yeah, traditional.
Yeah.
Well, sort of traditional.
We say it's traditional, but it's it follows the traditional ethos, but it has been updated. It was updated in the 70s for modern lifestyle to combat modern combatants, which at the time all would have been boxers in the UK. So it's a Japanese style, but with a lot more uh, boxing and kickboxing techniques focused in there.
Yeah, so we do a lot of the offensive striking, still do the traditional throws. We also do a lot of the grappling, um,
And
which BJJ and judo and stuff all do.
yeah,
And we do weapon work as well.
yeah. And as of recent years, we've picked up a lot more Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and groundwork as well,
Yeah, because our
which is
organization is now affiliated with another one, so that's yeah,
it's about moving with the times, because if we always do traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, the problem is if someone comes up who's a good boxer, you have no chance. Well, no chance. Obviously, there's
oh,
always
if
a
you can grab
chance.
them,
Yeah,
yeah. If you're a good
Th-
grappler and you can grab them, there's not much you can do. Tie them up
yeah.
in knots. But
Yeah,
it depends again on how good the boxer is. But if you're not used to getting or standing up in a fight and getting hit in the head,
yeah.
um,
It's just going to throw you off.
yeah,
It's like I think it was Mike Tyson that said everyone has a plan until they get hit.
yeah,
Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. You know,
yeah,
or like Evander Holyfield's coach said, walk out and punch him as hard as you can in the nose and watch him drop.
hmm,
It's, if you've never been punched in the nose and all of a sudden you're, let's say you do Aikido, someone comes out, they punch you in the nose, you're, you might be the best practitioner of Aikido in the world, but if you've never been punched in the nose, you're going to be useless.
yeah,
It's just the law of the land. Um, yeah, so that's our background. That's how we know each other. Um,
yeah. I started jiu-jitsu. I got kicked out of my house. I found out that Mikey needed a housemate too, so I asked him if he'd be interested. He said yes. We've been together ever since.
that's not true. You moved out.
Yeah, no, well, we've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you were saying before, we weren't really friends before it happened. It was only while we were living together that we got to know each other properly.
Yeah.
Um, and through that, we've been friends since then.
Yeah.
And even though I'm no longer friends with a few people over the years, we're still friends.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like that happens. That's just growth.
Yeah,
That's just growth. So we don't really have a plan per se for this show. You know, it's we want it to be very free flowing, and we can kind of talk back and forward rather than writing and reading off a list of things.
yeah. In the future, we'll be a little bit more structured, but at the moment, for the for this one and maybe the first few uh, podcasts that we do or episodes that we do, it's really just to get an idea of what we want to talk about, and um, we're going to get friends and family to listen to it as well, see what they think, get some input, and figure out where we want to change and improve. But again, this is mostly a tool for us is to sort of like an accountability tool for us to discuss things, learn some new things with each other, and then keep track of our own training progress, like we said it earlier as well.
Yeah. So on that training progress, what have you been doing recently?
I have been doing a a lot of I've been doing an Athlete Next program uh, at home, just with the whole quarantine lockdown. I have I used to be a PT, so I actually have weights and things that I can use at home. So I have a room set up in the house where I can do a lot of resistance training. So I've been doing that every morning to try to lose weight, get stronger. I need to work on my endurance because it's terrible. That's probably the worst thing about it. I gas out real fast. So I want to. I plan on the future to incorporate more running and cardiovascular style stuff
Um,
in my training.
yeah, I'm the same. Uh, I'm
Right
not the
now, for me, it's just get strong, get big.
yeah.
That's it. Well,
I
get big enough. Not. I don't want to get too big.
yeah. Don't want to be like a Arnie,
Yeah, Mikey knows how flexible I am. I don't really want to lose that.
crazy flexible,
Yeah.
especially for a bigger guy. Crazy flexible. Um, yeah. So you said you're doing a lot of resistance training.
Yeah, just weights, squats, deadlifts, bench press, your typical stuff. But also, like, well, it's just your general body. Not well, maybe it is bodybuilding stuff because I'm doing hypertrophy. Uh, but it's a good program.
Yeah.
It's to do strength and size at the same time. So some of it's high volume, some of it's high weight,
Yeah. So
working on weaknesses.
you're mostly doing standard sets then,
What do you mean?
just 3 sets of 15 here, 3 sets of 15 there, that kind of stuff.
Well, the program I'm doing changes it up every so often. So I'm, like doing a couple supersets that would only be two of each exercise in that superset, and then it would go into a ISO phase, which is 3 sets, and then a strength phase, which is 5 sets. So
Okay.
it does change up quite a bit. And then there's a burnout at the end for each group that I'm doing. So if I'm doing chest and triceps, the first group that I'm doing is my chest. So I'm doing the superset, the ISO, and the strength element, and then the burnout. And then I would do triceps. And then, same idea, superset, ISO, and strength plus burnout.
Okay. So is it similar to the stuff we used to do at the gym years ago?
Similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, are you still doing the core burnout?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, I'm doing different core work now. I actually need to step up my core the minute. I've really relaxed on that. I've been focusing on other weak muscle groups, and because I've been focusing so hard on those, I've kind of stopped doing my stronger areas, and now they're getting weaker. So I need to come up with a more complete routine.
Yeah. Um, core's always been one of my downfalls. Whenever I started going to John, my PT, which I haven't been to in probably just over a year now, just because I couldn't afford it anymore. Uh, Whenever I started going there, I was pretty strong everywhere. I had had some back issues for the last lot of years, uh, and the first core workout we did, he was surprised at how fast my core burned out because I
Yeah,
was
for an endurance muscle.
yeah, I was, and especially through how used I was to working out, how often I worked out, how often I did jujitsu and everything else. Uh, he was really surprised that my core was actually as weak as it was. I'm not going to say it was, the worst ever, but it 100% was probably my biggest weak spot whenever I started going to the gym every week. And that actually, since I started working my core more, my uh, soreness and the tightness in my back really lifted.
Oh, yeah, it's all a balancing act. If you have weak anterior muscles, it's going to overemphasize, or the posterior muscles are going to pull too much without that balance, and you're going to create cramps and other issues.
Yeah. So are you nursing any injuries at the minute?
I tweaked my back 2 days ago, but it's fine. I recovered quickly. Eh, I would.
Well, my back's done, but yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I work out early in the morning, and I don't typically do much of a warm up. So when I went into my first set of front raises, when the exercise, I wasn't really focusing on contracting my core and tightening my back. So when I lifted it up, because all the weight was at the front, I pulled my back, my right lat. But it's fine now.
That's painful.
Yeah, it was at the time.
Yeah. Um, and with quarantine and all the rest of it being stuck in the house, well, you're not quite stuck in the house because you have to go to work because you're a key worker. Um,
Yeah. No,
uh,
I work at the hospital, so
yeah.
no time off work for me.
Time off work for me because I teach jiu-jitsu and not allowed any gatherings. So, how's your flexibility? Have you found your flexibility suffering at all during with not being able to
Yeah,
train as much?
my flexibility suffering a bit, especially because I normally when I teach on Saturdays and I have a more flexibility focused warm up from in my class because most people don't focus on that. So I like to do that with my students. That is what kind of kept me regular. And then now that I'm not doing that, plus I'm doing the weight training, and for my job I have to sit in front of an isolator. I'm a pharmacy technician, and I just the posture that I have to sit in just tightens everything up. So I need to come up with a quick routine that I can do every day at home just to loosen everything up again.
Yeah. I started stretching yesterday, so I tried for months, a couple of years back. I think you were still here at the time. I can't say for certain. It might have been just after you left. Can't say for certain. But I started for a number of months stretching every night with the aim of it's all my hips. My hips, and my legs are super tight. Always have been, as you know.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, they're more flexible than some people, but I would say it's definitely middling. If even, for flexibility. So I started stretching every night. I would stretch for 10 minutes plus, trying to be able to kick higher, trying to get my hips and my legs more flexible, so as that my jiu-jitsu, my groundwork would be better. And I never really saw any increase. But since lockdown has happened and I've stopped moving as much, we're only allowed out once a day, you know. Um, the only real exercise not, I wouldn't say the only real exercise. The most movement I'm getting at the minute is cleaning the house and cleaning out around the yard and stuff.
Yeah.
But my left hip, uh, this past 7 days, has felt like there's a knot inside it, and it's felt like it's basically going to push up against a muscle or a joint and just explode.
Yeah.
So basically, I had the choice this week: either start stretching um, every morning and every night, or whenever lockdown finishes, I go back and I have to basically take time out because I can't move.
Well, it's probably because you're focusing too much on the stretching. Stretching itself isn't necessarily what's going to make you more flexible. There's a lot of strengthening things that you need to do on top of that, plus working the agonist muscles or supporting muscles that happen. So a lot of people think if I have a tight hip, um, it might not necessarily be that your hip is. I can't. Well, I need to show, but there's something called a pancake when you have your legs out, sort of split position, and you're trying to get your chest further down to the ground. A lot of people think that the limitation is the flexibility, but it's actually the weakness in the thighs. So the quads aren't able to pull
Yeah,
um, to actually get you down. So
yeah,
if you're just stretching, it doesn't really help when it comes to the range of motion that you're wanting to get.
yeah. I don't think there's any weakness in my quads. I've quite strong legs.
No, but you'd think that, but your quads are made up of tons of different muscles.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it could be one of the ones that you need. Um, one of the stabilizer muscles isn't strong enough.
yeah. Um, I don't know. For me personally, I think it mostly stems from hamstrings. I think I have just super tight hamstring.
But you could test that out. Whenever you do any kind of straddle stretch type thing, if you point your toes, that kind of takes the hamstrings out of it. You can see where your limitation is.
Yeah. If you point them out, did you say?
Yeah, point them away, because
Like
that
back?
shortens it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So whenever your toes are pointed up, that stretches it more. It
yeah,
elongates the hamstring, but whenever you point your toes, it shortens it.
yeah. Um,
So again, you'll be able to see if it's your groin or your hip that's kind of stopping you.
well, you see, one of the one of the issues I have, I don't even know if you've noticed, but even doing like front kicks and stuff, I can't curl my toes back very far. So sometimes I
Hmm.
catch my toes. They don't move very far back. So that
I'm not sure.
again, that could be a tell for a mega tight hamstring, I guess.
Could be.
Yeah,
I'm not a physio, so I'm not entirely sure.
yeah.
That's not my area of specialty.
And just to be clear, none of us are ever going to claim to be
A medical professional of
professional.
any kind of, yeah. Even though I work in the hospital, I do pharmacy. I don't do physio. I'm not a qualified dietitian, but I have a very strong interest in the subject.
Well, you are technically a professional personal trainer,
I'm
ex-professional
qualified.
personal trainer.
Yeah, I'm qualified. I
Yeah,
need to probably update the qualification.
yeah, and
So
you've had clients before.
yeah, I've had clients, and I still do teach jujitsu. So I'm a martial arts coach. And so are you. You're a martial arts coach, obviously.
I'm
But
technically a professional coach.
mhm. So we have
Um,
experience teaching and training,
yeah,
but our focus is a bit more specific.
yeah. So you said you're mostly doing strength training at the minute,
Yes,
hypertrophy training.
yeah.
What
I'm
about
trying to
diet?
lose fat at the same time. So yeah, the weight loss that plays in. So nutrition wise, I've been doing a mostly carnivore diet. So the majority of my meals are animal-based foods.
Yeah.
Uh, because at Easter time, it's a little bit more loose. Chocolate. Everybody's giving me chocolate. Work. Everybody's bringing in snacks. I like to bake. My girlfriend and I have um, an Instagram account where we do a lot of bakings. So she wants to. Well, today we're making a lemon cake for tomorrow, and we're also doing a lot of traditional Polish Easter foods that we're going to have tomorrow for breakfast.
If we weren't in lockdown, I would sneak around to your house for some lemon cake.
Oh, that's going to be good. I make a good lemon cake. Yeah.
um,
But as far as diet goes, I try to stay as strict to my diet as possible, but I don't want to be one of those, eat this way only or die. Over the past few years, and Mikey can tell you, I've been trying to change my relationship with food. So I don't want to say that any particular food, you should never eat it. Like if you want to eat it, eat it. It's your choice as an adult, pick what you want to eat. But you can make smarter choices and then have your main diet a consistent thing. And then if you want to add anything in extra later on down the line, as long as you recognize that there's no nutritional value in eating cakes all day, or just and every now and again having chocolate, there is no nutritional value just eating that because you enjoy it. But then having the bulk of the food that you eat is something that's highly nutritious and something that you can afford and sustain.
yeah. Um, you would know better than most.
Yeah, like I said, Mikey could tell you, I think my go-to after jiu-jitsu training I used to train and teach all the time. And after every single night I'd come home, I would buy a tube of Pringles, a pack of Haribo Tank Fast Sticks, and a bottle of BPM. And then I would eat and drink all that just before bed. Wonder why I couldn't sleep properly. And then the next day, I would play video games or whatever, forget to eat breakfast. Then I'd have something really sugary, like some terrible cereal. And then for lunch, again, I would realize I don't have any food, go to the shop, buy more Pringles. I,
Yep.
I didn't even, yeah. And I did that for years.
You also used to eat a hell of a lot of Dominoes.
Yeah, two for Tuesday. So I would buy extra pizzas on Tuesdays and then save them for lunches and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of pizza. It was basically
Yeah.
pizza, Pringles, and jellies.
Yeah. Confectionery candies and
Yeah.
really, I was a really heavy sugar addict. It's really, really heavy. It's only in the recent years that I've kind of gone away from it. I'm still
You
addicted to
also had an
sugar.
Emerge kick for a while. I remember
A what?
Emerge. Remember the
Emerge?
energy drink, red and silver tin.
No, I never had Emerge. That was Ryan.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, yeah. I was addicted to No Fear, um,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Monster for a bit, Relentless for a bit.
Yeah.
Was drinking a lot of Boost.
A lot of
Um,
BPM.
yeah, a lot of BPM. Didn't drink any Red Bull. It was too expensive and it wasn't the same. But I would have to have two a day. And then I found out that it was giving me, it was making me feel like crap all the time. And then I was kind of weaning myself off. I went through horrible withdrawals. Managed to get it to one a day, then one a week, or one every other day, and then one a week. And then after that, I tried to do one a month. And then after the month, I had one, and it gave me the most intense migraine that I can't drink them anymore. And anytime I drink an energy, it gives me really, really intense headaches.
Good.
So I stay away from them. And then I found out because I had to wean off of that somehow, so I switched to just your normal sodas and carbonated drinks. And but I thought I'd be healthier because I didn't want the calories, so I go for the zero version or the light version or the diet version. And then I found out that the sweeteners, the artificial sweeteners in them, gave me horrible migraines as well. So I was wondering why I was constantly getting migraines. And then that's why I can't handle aspartame or sucralose or any of those other kind of crappy artificial sweeteners. And then the more I got into that, and this is part of the reason why I got so big into nutrition, is because I saw how all these things affected me in a negative way, and how all the other things were affecting me. The healthier things were affecting me in a more positive way. And I didn't like feeling like crap all the time, so I was looking into why certain things had certain effects in the body, and I hate sweeteners now. People tell you, oh, well, 0 calories. If you only care about your macros, that's fine. But the way that the sort of the response, and we'll get into this in later podcasts, I'm sure, how your liver can't actually process sweeteners, so it stores it as fat anyway. So you think that you won't get fat because you're not getting sugar and insulin spikes, but you're still getting fat because your body doesn't know how to process it. Your liver just sees it as a poison. The only way that your liver process poisons and toxins in the body is to either metabolize it or turn it into fat. And if it can't metabolize it, it turns it into fat.
Yeah.
And then you're wondering why you can't lose weight, but you're drinking all the diet stuff and there's 0 calories in that. So, calories are the things that matter, but it's not always calories in versus calories out.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who have been grossly overweight, and they've drank a lot of. Most of them are on Coke or Red Bull,
Yeah.
and they've either been consuming 4 to 8 cans of Red Bull a day, or 48 cans of Coke a day, or like 2 liters, 3 liters
I
of
thought you
Coke a
said
day.
48.
48.
Like, what? That's a lot of Coke.
I know. Well, to be fair, I do have a friend who we got whenever I worked in the shop. We got paid the day we got
This
paid.
is water, by the way. This is that's carbonated water.
Uh,
I still like the fizzy, but I don't like the
yeah.
sugar.
The day we got paid, he went to Pound Stretcher, and he
Yeah.
bought a slab. He actually bought 2 slabs of Red Bull, which I think it had 56 tins in it.
Kept that in the boot of his car, right?
No, that was Ryan Avery.
Okay. No, he was the one that had the other.
Yeah,
Don't
I
want to
think that was
start
Ryan.
name dropping people.
Yeah, sorry, whoops.
Yeah.
Um,
We can boop that out maybe later.
but I was working with him about 5 days later, and I said to him, "Well, how are you getting through your slab of Red Bull?" And he goes, "My slab of Red Bull?" And I went, "Yeah. How are you getting on? How much do you have left?" And he went, "Only about 6 tins." And I went, "What? You drank 50 tins?" And he was like, "Yeah." So it's been 4 days or 5 days, whatever it was. It was less than a week.
See, that could have been me. Like,
Yeah,
there's a rule
but that
in
is
our house where we can't have anything in
insane.
there.
Sorry, cut out. What did you say?
So I'm like that. We have a rule in the house where it can't be here, otherwise I will eat it or I will. If it's not here, then I won't. But again, that's the sugar addiction. I have poor impulse control whenever stuff is in the house, so I have to set up an environment that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was. He actually ended up going to hospital a couple of times. If I remember correctly, I know there was at least once where he had to go to the hospital, and they told him if you don't stop drinking Red Bull, your liver is going to fail.
And your kidneys trying to filter that stuff out.
It might have been kidneys. Might have been
Yeah.
kidneys. It was a long time ago. I can't exactly remember. And yeah.
Well, the caffeine would affect the liver.
Yeah.
But all the other chemicals being stripped into I'm sure he was pissing out fluorescent neon. I don't know.
Yeah, probably was.
Must have been nasty.
Yeah. The smell wouldn't have been good either. Probably whenever he pissed, it probably smelled like tainted Red Bull. Red Bull that's been left out in the sun.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So I have I have a story about that as well, where I was in work in the shop. I hadn't slept in about 2 days. I just couldn't sleep. But obviously, as soon as I went into work, I was like, my eyes were they were just constantly closing, and I was like, this is not the time for my body to decide, hey, it's nap time. So I hadn't slept in about 2 days, and I was like, shit, I'm falling here. I need something that'll actually keep me awake before I end up sleeping behind the counter in the middle of serving a customer. So I went and bought 2 Red Bulls. I pinned one, and I came back half an hour later, and I got halfway through the next one, and all of a sudden I got this massive pain in my chest, like a real frightening pain, and I basically collapsed out in the store, out in the back of the shop. I was just on my knees, head down, like I was praying, and just holding my chest because it felt like my heart was just about to explode out of my chest.
Yeah. Actually, that's a very good point that you bring that one up, because when I was addicted to energy drinks as well, I constantly thought I was getting panic attacks.
Yeah, it's probably just because your heart was going so fast.
Yeah, it just beat out
Yeah,
of rhythm, and then as soon as that happened, I started focusing on it. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then I feel like I'm having a panic attack and dying.
yeah. Well, there's a history of caffeine and heart problems in my family. My dad used to drink black coffee all the time, and his doctor told him uh, he had to stop drinking black coffee because it was what do you call it whenever you skip a beat?
Arrhythmia, or
It could be I can't remember the name was in my head, and then whenever I went to tell the story, it disappeared. But basically, I was in the back of the story. You know, I was
yeah, so arrhythmia, a
yeah,
disorder of the heart that affects the rhythm or the rate in which the heart beats.
yeah. But
Yeah.
basically, it was like you said, an irregular heartbeat, and I was sitting there, and I was like, crap, trying to take my own pulse and everything, and it wasn't a steady boom, 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 boom. You know, it felt very disjointed. That could have been because I was in a state of panic because I had a massive pain in my chest.
Yeah.
But that's what it seemed like to me. And uh, ever since that, I pretty much I never drank many energy drinks anyway. Anytime I did have an energy drink, it would have been more like a Lucozade Sport or something like that.
Yeah.
But ever since then, I never really drank any energy drinks. I'll have one coffee a day. That's about it.
Mhm.
Just for a bit of a caffeine kick.
I
Uh,
try to steer clear of caffeine.
yeah. Well, in the morning now,
I'm
when
what's called a fast metabolizer, I think. So I metabolize caffeine very quickly, so I get that crash very fast.
yeah,
Slow metabolizers can release it throughout the day, and they can better handle. I can't.
yeah, I couldn't tell you which one I am.
Yeah. Which
Uh,
is quite funny because again, I was so heavily addicted to caffeine, but I think it was because I was drinking it so frequently that I built up some kind of resistance to it, and then
yeah,
once I cleared it out of my system and I had it again, that's when it hit me hard.
you'll find that with a lot of people.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing with anything that you're addicted to. Same thing with sugar. I did a no sugar for a month, and then I went back to sugar, and I was like, wow, this is horribly sweet. I feel really sick just eating it.
Yeah.
And now I'm gradually reducing my sugar intake. So like I said, I make a lot of cakes and buns and sweets and things. Like last night, I made jam. Normally, the ratio that you would use for jam making would be 2 to 1 sugar to fruit. So, or sorry, fruit to sugar. And I halved it again rather than so
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, and it's plenty sweet for me.
Have
Uh,
you ever heard Joe Rogan mentions it quite often? I watch the Joe Rogan podcast fairly regularly. I mean, Joe Rogan has too many podcasts that anyone with a job really just can't keep up with.
yeah,
Let's be real.
yeah,
Um,
I like this podcast too. I
yeah,
listen to the ones that I think are going to be interesting to me.
yeah.
Mm.
I'm the same. Although a lot of people will probably be quite surprised on the ones that I really get into. Um, uh, because a lot of people would think that I would only be interested in the JRE MMA show.
Hmm.
But I listen to a lot of the other ones. A lot of the paleontologists he has on, archaeologists, um, a lot of health and fitness people, all really
Yeah.
interesting, super
Hmm.
interesting. But he quite a few times, you'll probably I assume you'll have heard it at some point. Quite a few times he's talked about fizzy drinks like Coke
Yeah.
and like buns, donuts, sweets, and he instantly goes, "How can people eat these? That is so sweet. That is crazy." He's like, I can feel the sugar on my tongue.
Yeah, and it
You
keeps
know,
getting sweeter and sweeter because the
yeah,
more you have of it, the less
yeah,
your brain recognizes it.
yeah,
So it increases your tolerance for it, so that you want more. You just end up craving more. So things
but
naturally have to get sweeter and sweeter and sweeter.
yeah, and
But as
as you
soon as you
know,
go off it for a month,
yeah,
any bit of caramel that you have makes you feel sick.
that's what I was gonna say. As you know, Joe Rogan's done a lot of keto and a lot of carnivore, and
Yeah, the recent carnivore thing.
yeah, you said you were on, you're doing. faux carnivore at the minute.
Not faux, mostly. If I'm talking about the diet in which I consider is my diet, it would be carnivore based.
Yeah,
Every now and again, I would have extra stuff. Like this week, I'm gonna have the traditional Polish Easter food stuff, which is a lot of carbohydrates, which I try again to lower. I don't like having an awful lot of carbs, so I find that I work better off fats and proteins. But just as an interesting contrast to me doing carnivore now, I was actually vegetarian for just over 5 years. Um, I thought I was healthier then. After a while, I noticed I was getting sicker and sicker. I looked really pale. I was actually anemic. Um, I had so many health issues. And then as soon as I started eating meat again, my energy levels recovered. My skin got better. My hair got better. My nails got better. My teeth are much nicer than they were. Like they went yellow real fast. And now they're going back to white, which is nice. I recover much faster. I noticed before if I got any injuries, uh, it would take me weeks, if not months, to get rid of a pain in my shoulder or my elbow, and I would get lots of aches and pains all the time. And then I went back to eating meat. I'm getting plenty of collagen. I make my own bone broths. I make most of my own food. Um, and now I injured my back 2 days ago, and I'm fine today.
yeah,
I hurt my elbow not too long ago. Or anytime I eat a lot of sugar, I find it gives me some inflammation. So when I was beaten in that competition, it damaged my left elbow. And I noticed that I get a lot of pain in that whenever I'm not eating healthy. But as soon as I start eating healthily again, the pain disappears, and that would be the carnivore. So I tried a full carnivore month last month, and I had a lot of really good results. I actually lost 6 kilos in a week of just body fat,
yeah.
which is crazy.
6 kilos is no joke.
Yeah, I went from 90 to 84. I'm back up to 88 because again I've been eating crap over the past week.
Yeah,
I gain weight very fast, which probably adds to my deceptively heaviness. But I'm
yeah,
still again I'm getting leaner, but I'm also training and getting bigger. So I don't know how much of it is me gaining muscle versus me losing or gaining fat.
yeah.
Um, but this is a thing that we can explore over the course of this podcast as well. Maybe we should think about doing weigh-ins and things like that for both of us.
Well, I don't think a weigh-in is really necessary for me. My weight never goes above 65 kilos.
Yeah, well, even still, just some kind of measurements.
Yeah. I was on carnivore myself for, well, it was actually only a week because,
Couldn't afford it.
yeah, I had planned actually to go back. So what happened was I started carnivore, and a couple of days after I started carnivore, and it is an expensive diet because you have to, meat isn't cheap.
It depends on what you do. I'm not actually been finding it too difficult.
Um, well, I was spending that one week. I spent over £50 on meat for that one week, and
Well, I suppose, yeah, I spent about 45.
I don't think I was eating enough. My stomach was feeling odd.
Mhm.
It wasn't feeling odd. Sick. I can't even describe it because it was just an unnatural kind of feeling. And I think it was just because I wasn't eating enough.
Were you
Because
eating fatty foods and things or
oh
fatty
yeah,
meats?
yeah. Well,
That could have been it.
I went to the
One of the
butcher.
issues with the carnivore thing is if you're not used to eating those animal fats, your body has to produce more bile in order to break down the fats.
Yeah,
So you probably weren't producing enough because your body isn't used to it yet.
it could have been.
So
It could have been. I
yeah,
mean, I eat meat with almost every meal anyway.
yeah,
But they whenever I went to the butchers I went to all just seemed to have lean meat packages. So
yeah,
I tried to get the fattiest meats that I could find from them.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, I
so
can't wait till we get to the fat subject. I have a lot to say about that.
well, the cuts I got, all the sausages I got, the bacon, I purposely went for the bacon that had the most fat on it.
Hmm.
So I got a lot of bacon. I got a lot of steaks. I got the fattiest steaks. Uh,
Yeah,
I
ribeyes and
got
stuff
some
like that.
burgers. I got some mince, and they were like, "Oh, this is like high protein, low fat mince. This is great for training." And I was like, "I don't want that. Give me the fattiest mince you have."
Yeah.
um,
The more calorically dense stuff, you want the higher calories, especially for you, because I think you
Yeah,
need a bit
well,
more weight.
I think that's a bit of a misconception for people that go into the carnivore diet. I researched it quite a lot before I started it, and I would have thought, like most people who have been told for most of their lives that they've been doing fitness, or most of their lives in general, cut fat.
Yeah, fat makes you fat.
Less fat,
Like,
yeah. Fat makes you
yeah.
fat. Less fat is better.
Hmm.
No, I knew a bit better than that. I knew that obviously you didn't want to just cut fat because you need fats for a pile of different things in the body, right?
Oh, fat's essential.
Yeah,
Every single cell layer is made with
yeah.
lipids, and lipids are fat. So you have your bilipid layer. If you don't have fat, you don't have any lipids to put in your bilayer. So your
The
whole
problem
body,
is saturates from deep fried foods and things.
no.
Well,
This is
that's
yeah.
what
This
I've
is
been
where we're
led to
gonna get
believe.
into.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're
Okay.
told
Good.
that
Well,
saturated fat is bad.
we'll leave that for another time. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've loads to say on it. So
Yeah. No, saturated fat is the good fat,
yeah. So well,
but you're told that saturated fat is the bad fat. But it's
yeah.
the polyunsaturated and monounsaturated, depending which one you get. But it's the vegetable oils that are the ones that are bad. So if you fry food in saturated lard, so that's a saturated fat. So any fat that can stay solid at room temperature is a saturated fat,
Mhm.
because every single it's saturated with hydrogen. So every single bond is
Lard is animal
pig,
fat, is it not?
pig fat.
Pig fat, yeah.
So so you have lard, which is pig fat. Then you have tallow, which is beef fat. And you have suet, which is a specific type of kidney fat.
Hmm.
It's more waxy. Then you have your goose fat, uh, which is another one. And then what I normally cook in is ghee or clarified butter. So that's the dairy fat with all the lactose and milk solids removed. So anyone who has lactose issues or tolerance issues, then you can still have this.
Yeah,
But it's better to cook your food in that. And it's
yeah,
also really high in your fat soluble vitamins. This is why this is so good for you. A lot of people are nutrient deficient in vitamin A, D, E, and K,
yeah.
which are your fat solubles. And you would know better than anybody else about skin, because your skin. So that is a deficiency in vitamin A. So if you can increase your animal fats, like with butter, egg yolks, and various other types, like cook your food and the bacon, render out the fat in the bacon.
Well,
Um,
that's I have quite um uh moist skin. Like my
Greasy.
I wouldn't even say greasy because my skin generally isn't greasy. Like it doesn't feel greasy.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, oily, greasy, whatever way you want to put it. It's not dry.
Yeah.
My body self moisturizes a lot, which causes things like this. You know,
Hmm.
my arms used to be terrible, and they've been fairly clear this past few years. But there's a few bits and pieces. My face was actually quite clear until lockdown, and I find since lockdown it's exploded. It's gone nuts. Um, and that's one of the things that well we can get into it more in another
Well,
podcast.
here's
But
an
that's
interesting thing. Have you ever heard of a drug called Roaccutane?
Roaccutane.
Roaccutane. Uh,
It sounds familiar, but I would say I've probably heard it in passing. I
well,
don't know
this is
what
one
it.
thing that I know because, again, I'm a farmer, so I know about these kind of things. So
Yeah,
Roaccutane is an anti-acne drug, and it's the most popular one as far as I'm aware. It's the most effective.
that'll probably be why I've heard of it because the doctor put me on one. But as far as I'm aware, the one the doctor put me on was a antibiotic.
Yeah, because there's different depending on what happens. But anyway, the thing I was going to say with the Roaccutane anyway is it is
The more
a
you say it, the more it sounds familiar.
yeah, it's a vitamin A
Yeah,
derivative.
yeah.
So the drug itself is like I said, a vitamin A derivative. So if you want to improve your skin, you need to increase your vitamin A. So why would you want to take an artificial drug that has a whole laundry list of side effects that's trying to do the same thing that a normal vitamin A or your normal fat soluble vitamin A, which you can only get in animal sources, by the way. A lot of people think you can get it through beta carotene in carrots. That's not true. You can. It's like beta carotene is a precursor
Obviously,
to
it's got beta in it. It's not alpha.
yeah. Yeah. Little it's the precursor. I can't remember what the actual synthesis rate is. It's like 20 something to 1 or whatever. So you need to eat an awful lot of it. But there's also an issue where most of the population can barely absorb it. Some of the population can't even absorb it, and there's only a very, very small fraction of the population that can absorb it well.
Yeah.
And chances are you're not like that. And if you're female, it's even worse. Only 50% of females can absorb it. So trying to get your vitamin A through carrots won't work.
Yeah.
So you need to get it through the animal sources. And best way to get it, because it is a fat soluble vitamin, is to eat good quality saturated fat. And this is why I think the carnivore diet would be beneficial for Mikey.
Yeah. Well, I did know in the 1 week I did it. So I was going to say the reason I had to stop it was because we ran out of oil in my house, and basically I had the choice. I could get oil, and I
Yeah,
could
eat or eat or freeze
yeah,
or something like that.
I could
Yeah,
get oil, and I could risk
starve or freeze.
yeah, starve or freeze. I could risk the next week not having enough money to buy enough food that I needed to have the energy levels I need to continue my day to day life, or I could cut the diet short after a week, and I could get oil and have heat in the radiators. Now that was in, I want to say February, mid February, late February, around then.
Yeah, I know you did it before I did.
Yeah, it was mid to late February, and apart from the stomach issue I had, which again I think was just hunger, I think it was my body.
It could have also been just the adjustment period. It does take about
Yeah,
a month to adjust.
yeah.
Like a
So
lot of people do experience lots of diarrhea, and
I didn't have any of that.
yeah, no,
Um,
neither did I.
yeah. Um, I was fairly like seamless
Yeah.
toilet goings.
Mm.
Uh, no mess, no fuss. But
Oh, I had the
the
best bowel movements ever.
yeah,
Yeah, it
my
was amazing. Just boom.
I think it was partially I wasn't eating enough, and it was partially my stomach being used to one, same as Dan was saying, sugar addict. Now I've never been as much of a sugar addict as him, but generally I'll have a packet of sweets a day, packet
Yeah.
of milk, dairy milk buttons, or some kind of packet of chocolates. And maybe I don't drink that many sugary drinks. Um,
Yeah, you never really drank it whenever we together.
no,
You'd have it on the odd time, on occasion, but it was mostly me.
sparkling waters. I drink a fair
I
amount.
used to hate sparkling water. Now I love it, but it has to be. Well, I like most of them now, but it's specifically the San Pellegrino one. I love that. That's my
I
favorite.
I drink peach flavored sparkling water, which
Oh no, I don't do that. They put the sweeteners
see
in those. They give me headaches too.
I was going to say there's going to be sweeteners in it, but I'll never drink more than a liter a day.
A liter's
Uh,
still a lot.
it is, but at least it's not a liter of Coke or 7 Up or something along those lines. It's not healthy for you. I would never never say that, but it's better than that.
No, it's
And
the same as fruit juice. A lot of people think fruit juice is healthy for you, but it's not.
no, I mean
This, you know,
in general, I would maybe have probably no more than 3 bottles a week. So that's 3 liters a week
yeah,
of sparkling water. Uh,
flavored sparkling water.
yeah. But I was going to say I found on that diet, even for a week, my skin did start clearing up. My back is generally pretty bad for acne. My skin started clearing up almost immediately. 3 days in, it started clearing. 3 to 4 days in, which is fast, and I think it would have been possibly even better if I had have been taking bone broth as well.
Oh yeah, the bone broth
Um,
helps. The collagen helps your skin, so
yeah, and God knows, I could use some help with these teeth.
well, it won't fix your teeth. It'll help. It might whiten your smile a little bit, but it
Yeah,
won't fix
yeah. I've
like if they're
always
crooked.
my entire life I've always had quite yellow teeth. It's like my whole family's like that. If you go through my lineage, they're all the same. They've always just had quite yellow teeth. So I don't know.
Well,
That
that's not
might.
necessarily a bad thing. There's a thing where you have it's just, what is it? The enamel in your teeth is just stronger, and
Yeah,
enamel isn't pure white. If you want
yeah.
pure white teeth, that's just not natural. So the denser it is, the more yellow your teeth appear. But you could have strong teeth. Like you don't have many cavities, do you?
Um,
Or fillings, rather.
I do. I've think 7.
Oh, well, here's another thing that's interesting about eating the fat soluble vitamins, this is why it helps improve your teeth, is it actually does encourage repair of the teeth,
Hmm.
because the vitamin K2,
Mm-hmm.
there's two different types. There's K1 and K2. They both have different functions in the body. K1 helps with clotting, and K2 is a signaling vitamin that tells your body where to deposit calcium.
Yeah. Well,
And one of those places is in your teeth. Yeah. So
I didn't think
if
tooth
you're
repair was possible.
hmm?
I didn't think it was possible, bar getting veneers, dentures.
No, it's possible to fix your teeth. Your teeth can repair themselves if it's gone to the point where it's a full cavity. It's too far. But if you have, I can't remember what they're. But if it's that precursor to a cavity,
Mm-hmm.
you can recover your teeth by consuming uh, high doses of vitamin K2 and D3. D3 is the one that also gets your or signals your body to absorb calcium.
Yeah.
So you're absorbing more calcium, plus K2 is telling the calcium where to go, which is in your bones and in your teeth.
There you go. Learning new stuff already. Well, one of the things I was going to say about the carnivore diet and that whole thing was um the few times I trained whenever I was on that diet. So I started it on I think I started on the Sunday, and I went Sunday to following Monday, I think, so just over a week. The Tuesday, I felt like I had slightly more energy whenever I was training on that Tuesday night. Whenever I was training on that Thursday night, I didn't feel like I could be tired. I was going for it. I was, throw, grapple, 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 punch, 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 just constantly. And my energy level in that class felt up here. It felt
I
like
found that I just felt
it felt like it
steady.
was it felt like my energy release was just 10 times more steady than it normally is, because we've trained together. That I tend to kind of, if we're doing pad work, I'm kind of bam, and quite explosive at the start, and then following that, my energy levels drop and my stance changes, and the whole way I spar or the whole way I do pad work changes.
Yeah.
But I felt steady the whole time. I felt like I was able to explode whenever I wanted to. I felt like I was able to, even whenever I was resting, while like I would do a throw on someone, I was waiting for them to get up, and even in that 10-second window, I was able to just reset basically. So that's one reason to skin. Another reason is just pure fitness. I mean, anyone who trains knows that there's one day and it's completely random. You go in and you just beast everything, and you don't know why, you don't know what's changed, but you just feel like that's it. I've done it. I can do anything right now.
Yeah.
Maybe it was
Not
just one
sure
of
how
those
to
days.
explain it.
Maybe it was the diet.
Yeah. Not sure how to explain it. You only did it for a short time. But
Yeah.
it could be that all the high levels of inflammation that you normally have in your body was gone, so you felt fresh.
Yeah.
Plus, because you weren't inflamed, you slept better.
Mm-hmm.
So you were fully recovered. You had more energy,
Yeah.
that way.
There
Your
could be
hormones more
any
balanced
number of
out.
factors.
Yeah. Or all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
I found the carnivore diet, it really balanced out my hormones. Like normally I could get quite aggressive sometimes. Not to the point of me being really rude to people. I get mad at things rather than people in situations. But I found that I
Like in
was a lot
Bruges,
more level. Yeah, like things that would normally really
it's an
frustrate me.
inanimate object.
Yeah, inanimate objects. Yeah, just well, sort of things. But the things that would normally bother me, I find it became a mild annoyance rather than rage-inducing event. I'd be
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
Yeah.
which was weird for me, and it's not something that I noticed in myself. It was pointed out to me by my partner, so she was really grateful for
I
the carnivore
noticed it.
diet.
I just never said to you because you always get mad whenever I brought it up.
No, I mean she noticed the change.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I knew that I was angry all the time. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Particularly at video games or editing software, whenever it doesn't behave how it should.
Oh yeah. It's
I'm
like
I'm the
I'm trying to
exact
get it
same.
to. Yeah, I try to get it to do a particular function. It decides not to play ball. Like, screw them.
I'm the exact same. Like if I, for example, last week I had what was wrong with my computer? Um, I can't remember what it was, but there was it was a registry issue.
Uh-huh.
I went to so I was watching some streams and I was doing a couple of different things on the computer, and all of a sudden the performance just it started chugging real bad to the point where I couldn't watch a stream because my entire browser was freezing and other issues. So I went to shut it down. It took like 20 minutes for my computer to shut down. So I turned it on the next day and it took about half an hour for it to boot up. And I was like, right, I have a real problem here. I tried to open the registry edit and it took about half an hour for it to open. And I was just sitting here banging my desk going, open! Open!
So
It's
the point of
been
the
so
story
long.
is
So,
that you get angry at stuff too.
yeah, I'm the same, but I don't
Yeah.
think I was ever quite on the level that before you moved out here anyway that you that you were on. Um, I firmly believe a lot of that was because of the sugary diet you're on.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I felt like shit all the time.
Yeah. So just before we finish, I wanted to uh bring up something about MMA.
Yeah,
So
because that's the other half of the. Well, I say the other half. We've been doing this for an hour and
yeah,
10 minutes.
yeah.
But
So I
the
was the other day I was doing research. We were on a call and I was doing some research of uh some fighters. The
yeah.
reason I was researching some fighters is because the UFC have an event on next Saturday,
Hmm.
which you don't follow it, you don't know about. What do you
No,
think about that?
interesting considering the are they being tested then?
They're all being tested, yes.
Okay,
They're all
considering that.
being drug tested as normal. They're also being health checked to make sure that no one that has anything to do with the event is a carrier of COVID-19.
Oh, that's it. That's cool.
Um, Now the venue is under tight wraps and no one knows about it.
Okay, so it's like a secret
Yeah,
fight. They're not going to have any audiences or anything, but they're still going to televise the fight.
yeah. So
Okay.
even the fighters don't know where this fight is going to be.
They're going to be bagged and thrown into a van.
They're told if you're in a state, meet in a certain place, and we will collect you in a private jet and bring you to the venue.
Okay, that's cool. I like
Uh,
that. That's a nice workaround. They have the money. UFC's minted, so and it
yeah.
brings in so much cash. It would be crazy
Well,
not
they
to
sold
do a
for
fight.
I think it was 4 billion. Was it 2 billion or four
Hmm.
billion?
I don't know.
Like
It's
three
more
years
money
ago.
than I'll ever have.
Yeah, tell me about it. Right? Can I have 1%?
Yeah, I'd like that too.
you know? Yeah, an absurd amount of cash. Especially from a UFC was bought for. I think they bought it for $1 million or something like that, or $2 million, something like that, in around the year 2000, 2002, something like that. That turnover by itself is humongous in
Yeah.
that time frame. So, what do you think about them having this event during the given the current climate?
Oh, again, if everybody's being tested and they're still following the social distancing protocols before the fights and after testing, I think it's an interesting workaround. It is hard to know. There's anything could happen there. And like if this, I think it's clever. I don't know how much I would want to risk it, but
So, would you be against it?
no, if everybody agrees, I'm all about the freedom.
Okay,
If you
well,
guys,
there's a lot of people that have come out and said, now the fight card is phenomenal, top to bottom, amazing fights. I watched a video by a guy that has a YouTube channel called The Weasel, fantastic
uh-huh,
YouTube channel, and he broke down the finishing rate for the for everyone on that card combined,
Uh-huh.
There was something like I can't remember exactly, but I feel like he said it was over like a 72% rate of finishes through all the fighters combined on that card,
Uh-huh.
which means that if you do that statistically, there should be 1 to 2 fights go to decision on the entire card. That's crazy. That's a super high number of finishes.
How many
And
people are on the card?
24, 12 fights. So that'd be 10 finishes in one. That's not an average amount. That's super high. But it came out just over a day ago. This fight card is no longer happening. Uh,
Why?
so UFC are partnered with ESPN,
Uh-huh.
and the head of Disney and ESPN, because Disney own ESPN,
Uh-huh.
uh, personally phoned Dana White and said, "Yo, bro, stop." And he was like, "But it's cool. I've got everything sorted. I've got everything. No, it's cool. It's cool." And they were like, "Dana, bro, stop it." And he was like, "Ah, crap. Okay, that's a wrap, guys. We're postponing this event because ESPN has told us no, don't do it." Assumedly, there's no confirmation of this anywhere. I haven't watched many videos about it yet. I assume that ESPN and Disney were getting backlash because they were going to allow this event to continue. And a lot of it sounds bad, but it would have been a lot of, I feel, like concerned mother types, male
Who
and
weren't gonna
female,
watch it anyway.
concerned parent types. Probably people that hate the sport anyway, because a lot of people still buy into the human cockfighting stereotype from the early 2000s, which was perpetuated by MMA was banned until 2016 in New York.
Okay.
I can't remember what there was a guild that banned it, and it was something like ridiculous, like the Beggars Guild or something. They had like big political sway that got it banned.
The Lollipop Guild.
Yeah, I know. It was something completely unrelated. Like you would think, oh, boxing, like there's a boxing federation based there, and they were like, no, get this out. We don't want it here. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't. It was something completely unrelated, with a lot of corrupt politicians had banned it, and it recently, 2016, I think it was unbanned. Uh, so a lot of people obviously through these people saying, "Oh, this is just human cockfighting. You can't have this in New York." Um, the biggest city in America, I believe, is New York, right? Or is it LA?
I'm not sure.
I mean, if you were to say to someone that didn't know much about America, where do you know? They would say New York in general. So it's a pretty iconic place. I
Yeah, it
mean,
is New York City.
everyone knows Madison Square Garden.
Okay, so it's New York, then Los Angeles. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, Philadelphia, San Antonio, and San Diego.
So it was.
Yeah, you would have guessed that New York would be biggest, but it was
Yeah.
hard to tell between that
I
and
mean, it's the most
Los
popular.
Angeles.
You have to say it's the most popular. Uh,
Oh wow, it's bigger by quite a bit.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
so there's a lot of people still buying into the this is human cockfighting. There's no rules and all the rest of it. Now, even at UFC one, even though it was barred as no rules, branded as no rules fighting, there were still rules.
yeah.
There weren't many, but there was still rules. Um, so I reckon it's those kind of people that have been emailing at ESPN. This is a mockery. How can you do this? People are sick. Blah blah blah. So they were going to host it in California in a place called Tachi Palace, which is
Uh-huh.
on an Indian reserve.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe, they didn't actually have to follow the same rules. Now, obviously, I am not affiliated, or an expert on any of this stuff, but I believe there's a different set of laws because it's an Indian reserve or Native American reserve or reservation.
A reservation, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure what the rules are there,
yeah,
but
it's a casino on an Indian reservation, but
yeah.
they had the go ahead. It was all going to go ahead until ESPN Disney phoned up and said no.
I don't know. Like if the fighters are willing to do it, they all got tested. Everybody was seen as being clean. I think it's a clever workaround,
Yeah,
especially if nobody's actually gathering for it. It's a good way to unite people.
the exact reason that they weren't going to give out the location of the fights because people are going to go, oh, no one's allowed out of their house. Well, actually, I don't think
Well, it's
America
still
has the same
happening even
lockdown.
here.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, not quite the same, but like
no,
here today, the police are out monitoring the
yeah,
A26 and other roads
yeah.
because people are for some strange. Oh, it's Easter weekend. We're gonna go up to the
It's not
port.
just because it's Easter weekend. This is the best day we've had in easily 12 months.
No, I know, but everybody has time off as well.
Yeah, because most people aren't at work right now.
Yeah, so everyone's hurting, flocking to the beaches, and it's like, what the hell are you idiots doing?
Idiots. Actual idiots.
Yeah.
That might get us in trouble. I don't. I mean, like some people that hear this or see this might be angry at that. I don't expect a whole lot of people to see this. It's the first episode, and whatever. But
Well, even if you're fairly confident yourself that if you get it, you'll be fine. It's not you
yeah,
that's the
this
problem.
is
It's you
so.
infecting other people that are
Whenever
at
this,
risk.
whenever it first came around, I had to explain to Steve, because he was like, "Oh, it's just a flu. It's just a flu." And I had to explain to him, look, you might not care about getting sick. I was like, you could already be sick and not know it. I was like, you just went to visit your granny who has a whole laundry list of illnesses.
Yeah.
I was like, she catches this, she is gone. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a harsh thing to say to someone like, listen, you might be a carrier, you might already be sick, you just don't know it yet. You
Yeah,
go to
because
see
there's no
your mum.
vaccine, so there's no way to protect against it whatsoever. At least the
Exactly.
flu
If you
that
go
we
to
have
see
at the
your mum,
moment, you
you go
can't
to
get
see your
vaccinated.
granny, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
They're already ill. They are dead. There's no, like, the chances of them recovering are slim, real slim. And that's not fear mongering. It is, and it isn't.
Oh, it's
But
certainly serious. I
yeah,
would,
I'm
my
just a
approach to it is take it seriously.
yeah, I'm just a realist. I'm thinking
Mm.
if it was my granny, would I want to go and see my granny?
No, it's
Both
fine. I'm
my
staying away
grannies
from my
are
mom. My mom's an asthmatic. I'm not gonna.
yeah, both my grannies are already dead. But I can tell you right now, if they were alive, and the week before we went into lockdown, I was teaching kids. Kids are cesspools for carrying disease,
Yeah, a
for
little germ
carrying
factory.
illness, and there's no way for at least a month I could have went even close to them. I
Mm.
wouldn't even have thought about it.
No, I work in the hospital,
Even it
so I
being
can't go
Easter.
anywhere near my mom just in case. I could have been exposed. Who knows? I work in a hospital. There's a very high chance that I
Yeah.
could eventually get infected.
Yeah. Um, Slightly off topic, but good topic.
Yeah,
So basically,
little tangent.
they cancelled this event. It was supposed to be there. Now, I say cancelled. It's postponed because Dana White has gone and secured a private island. And within the month, Fight Island will be completed. They are currently building the infrastructure. I don't know what infrastructure means. That's the only word he's using is infrastructure, which could mean several different things. I take it to mean that they're building some sort of gym or stadium.
Yeah, like in Pokemon.
Yeah. Or Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mewtwo's Island.
Yeah. Or in Yu-Gi-Oh where they have the tournament on the thingy.
Yeah.
Uh
Turning into a real life anime.
Mortal Kombat. Skull Island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that in itself is actually pretty cool. Like that's a pretty cool thing. So
Yeah, no, I like that. That's kind of cool.
yeah, they reckon
Get a
within
lot of tourists.
3 to 4 weeks. Chances are 3 to 4 weeks we will still be in lockdown. Even if restrictions are eased, they won't be completely gone. So I doubt there'll be full gatherings like football matches, hockey games, basketball games. I doubt there'll be things like that sporting events.
Yeah.
Um, but they reckon within 3 to 4 weeks they will be back and they will be running these events on Skull Island. I'm going to call it Skull Island. He's calling it Fight Island.
Fightland.
Yeah. What do you think about that? I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's kind of cool.
So the fight card itself is absolutely crazy. Let's see. I have a list here of who's on it. Find it. This.
All names that I'll barely recognize.
Yeah, well, so the main event was supposed to be Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, okay, I know them.
Both of them are on 13 fight win streaks, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. The only difference is Khabib Nurmagomedov is undefeated, and he's the champion. Tony Ferguson is a former interim champion. Extremely exciting matchup. Now, this fight has to happen. This is the 5th time it's been booked. This is the 5th time it hasn't happened. Many of those times it has fallen out within 2 weeks of the fight.
Okay.
So they're kind of trading blows for who pulls out next. And many people think it's cursed. Many people think it's doomed. It'll never happen. And they're two of the best fighters ever. So why people want to see it so badly is because Khabib's whole style is a European Greco-Roman wrestling style. He grabs people and he just drags them to the ground. He ties up their wrists, he ties up their hips, and he just mounts and controls the position and lets you try and fight out of that position while he just bears his weight on you and hits you anytime you try to move.
Okay.
It's a very overbearing, very hard style.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Tony Ferguson's style, he trains with Eddie Bravo.
Yeah.
And 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and his style is very funky. He doesn't do anything the traditional way. Like, even his striking, he uses a lot of elbows. Even though he's a really long guy, he's 6'3" or something, 6'2", and really lanky.
Yeah.
But he tends to put himself in disadvantageous positions, so that he can land these like really glancing elbows, like stepping in really close, bam, and a lot of spinning attacks, a lot of really unorthodox movement. Even on the ground, whenever he goes to the ground, he's really unorthodox, really slippery, really good off his back. That's why people want to see it so much, because if Khabib's just going to try and hold him, they want to see what someone who's really slippery and technically different can do against Khabib. Really interesting fight, but like I said, the fights on this card are insane. One of the big ones is Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Do you know the name?
I have to know how to pronounce all these names.
Do you know the name Francis Ngannou?
No.
Well, I'm pretty sure I showed you the clip before. He's a scary guy. You see interviews and you're like, he's the loveliest fella, but he's a scary guy. Massive, absolute unit. Ngannou's on a 3-fight win streak. He lost 2 fights in a row. One of them was a title fight where he just blew his load. The next one, because he blew his load in the title fight, he was scared to engage and run out of energy. So it was the exact opposite. And since then, he's been knocking everyone out.
Okay.
And the guy he's fighting has 9 knockouts and 1 decision. And he's undefeated. So, like, if you imagine that in an empty arena, these two monsters, I believe they're 6'6" or something. both of them built like absolute tanks. Think of the noise. Just of them landing a punch or a kick. It would sound like someone with a baseball bat hitting a wall. That's
I
crazy.
think I think something that would be good to do, just for my sake, moving forward in the podcast, um, would be if you actually provided some links and stuff for me to look at beforehand, so I know what we're talking about a
Yeah.
little bit
Well,
better. Yeah, because I
that's what
can't
I'm.
even picture what these people look like.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning to do. But for this one
Yeah,
specifically,
it's going to be a bit more raw.
I didn't want you to know anything about the events leading up to it.
Yeah.
So I quite purposefully didn't provide any links for you to watch or look at beforehand.
Mhm.
But like I said, that fight card's absolutely phenomenal, and it'll be a shame if we lose it due to this.
Oh, we're losing so many things due to coronavirus.
We are, but honestly, my personal opinion is that I wouldn't have an issue with it. I wouldn't
No,
have
me
an
either.
issue with it going ahead. Um, they're obviously being super careful who they let into the event.
It seems like they've done their due
Yeah,
diligence.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
everyone's being tested, as you say, diligently. Uh, I I don't believe they would risk anyone getting sick. And even if you look at that, people in there between the age of 20 and 40 aren't really at risk of having serious outcomes from COVID-19.
the cat, it's a lot more complicated than that.
It
People,
is because you can obviously have underlying lung
well, they're finding
issues,
out that
health
some people
issues,
without any underlying conditions, like there's a 21-year-old woman that unfortunately passed away, and it just seems to be getting younger. Apparently, the new
strain is
at-risk
mutating.
category
Yeah.
is people. Well, it's not even that it's mutating; it's just that people they're still learning about it. There are some obviously some mutations, but another at-risk category would be our age group,
Mm-hmm.
and especially
Well,
if you're men are more likely to
they
to
are.
be
Most
susceptible.
most fighters are men. But
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are at the peak of their physical health. So
Yeah.
the
Well, they
chances
don't
of
know what the causing thing. It could be diet, could depending on.
oh you've cut out your it's not coming.
Oh, sorry. How about now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like I said, these guys are at peak health, and judging by what we know right now, the there's pretty much every chance that they're gonna, if they were to contract something, they would be perfectly fine.
Yeah. Well, there's no way of knowing.
Yeah. Um.
Like,
So
who knows? I could have already had it.
yeah, same.
Some people are asymptomatic, don't have any symptoms of it, but they're still carriers. And
Yeah.
mm,
So that's where we are with that. Uh, I don't think I actually said. I don't know if you even know Dana White is the president of the UFC.
I know who Dana White is.
You never know. In saying
Yeah.
that, last week it might have been just over. Yeah, I think it was last Saturday. Submission Underground did go ahead. They had the event, but they had like the commentators and stuff weren't on site and all the rest of it. You know.
Hmm.
So uh, basically they had the fighters who would come out and they were fighting. They had the referee in the cage. And I believe that's all they had. I didn't look into it too much. No, it went ahead.
Well, we've been talking for an hour and a half, or over an hour and a half,
Yeah.
which is kind of overshooting what we were sort of going for our podcast length. I don't think we have a very specific length in mind at the minute, but the idea was between half an hour and an hour. This has gone over by 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
Well.
but it's something that we'll experiment with over time.
Yeah.
Look, if you like the long form stuff, whoever is going to be watching this or listening to this, if you like that, please let us know. If you prefer longer form stuff, if you prefer shorter form stuff. Again, the idea is eventually maybe we'll do something similar to other podcasts where we'll have like a clip sort of channel, so we can have the long form interview or discussion or whatever. and then have clips that come out of the particular episode on a separate thing. So if you prefer the shorter form content, you can absorb it through that. And then if you like the longer form interview, if you or conversation, you can click over to the full version.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, this is the first one we've done. We're never
Yeah.
me and Dan have made videos together before. We've made YouTube videos on Twitch streams. It's been a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
It's been a
Long
while.
time. Oh, about 5 years.
Yeah, but it's something we've done together in the past. But as we do it, I would imagine we would get better, a bit more comfortable with it, a bit looser.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's something like imposter syndrome, and I heavily.
Oh, you're cutting out again.
Okay, sorry, hold on. There's something called imposter syndrome, and that's something that I need to try to get over because I feel like people are going to call me out for knowing nothing. So it's just a confidence thing.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. We're not ever going to claim to be an expert in something we're not an expert on.
Not until we are.
Not until we are. And if someone can tell us, oh, actually, here's something that disproves that, or here's a reason why that isn't right. Fair. I see no problem with that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm open to changing my opinion if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I see no problem in that.
I obviously won't change my opinion if you just say you're wrong and then don't back it up with anything. But
yeah,
I don't know all the answers. Mikey doesn't know all the answers.
definitely not.
I'm looking at sources that I trust. You may have sources that I haven't heard of. I'm giving you the stuff that I believe to be true. And again, if I'm wrong about something and it can be explained to me, I'm happy enough to change my mind, or maybe not even change my mind as such, but change my approach.
Yeah. So I think that about does it for episode 1.
Yeah, I think fairly productive.
Yeah. As we said at the start, there's no name currently for our podcast, but by the time we post this, there very well may be a name for it. So
yeah,
just don't call us out on that.
Yeah, and it's going to be again a loose structure. Just to reiterate the purpose of the podcast, it's for us to learn as well as educate. So anything that happens in this podcast, anything that we discuss, we're still formulating our own opinions on it. We're still practicing the things that we're talking about. So I'm not perfect at diet. I'm trying to improve it. It's been a process that I've been, working through for since Mikey's known me, 10 years nearly.
Yeah.
I've always trying to get healthier. Mikey's the same. Not going to be perfect, but as we go, we'll keep you up to date for our own accountability's sake, but also so that you can see the progress and see if it's something that you think might benefit you. And if you're interested in joining in with a conversation as well, you can keep us up to date with what you're doing. You can ask advice if you have any particular questions or anything that you'd like to be answered, or if you think that or something you'd like to learn a little bit more about. We're happy enough to research that and update you on anything.
Yep. And just so this doesn't go even longer,
yeah,
we will call it there.
Yeah.
So thanks very much for watching and listening, or listening. Thanks very much for being my co-host, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you for being my co-host.
Thank you to me.
Yeah.
And we
you
will
can have all the thanks.
And we will hopefully see you in the next one.
Uh-huh.
Peace.
Peace.